Hello friends, today we are going to talk about another personality from that book, Light from Many Lamps. This time we are going to talk about a person named Robert G. Ingersoll. This person, he was not a motivational speaker. In fact, he was a lawyer. He was a brilliant speaker, but his job was not to motivate people. He was known among his friends as an agnostic. Agnostic means a person who doesn't believe in the existence of God, or he doesn't know it. So this person, he who doesn't believe in God, he talks about death and why death is beautiful and why it makes and how it makes our life worth living. That is what he said in that speech. Let's look at that person, Robert Ingersoll. Here he is, Robert G. Ingersoll. This Robert Ingersoll, as I said, he was a lawyer. He was a lawyer and he had a friend. He was very poor, this friend. He was very poor. His family, this friend's family, one day, suddenly their child, this child died, and they were burying they were in the graveyard along with this Robert Greene, and they were burying the dead child. At that time, the mother of the child, no one could console her. She was crying. And her father, the father of the child, also, he was very much in pain. And at that time, to console this family, this Robert Ingersoll, he came forward and he gave a speech. This was not for the general public. This is only for that family who had recently lost a child. And this is the speech that he delivered. It became so famous that he delivered this speech many times after that incident. So I will try to explain that speech in English. Of course, it is in English, but the language he used, first of all, the word title, it is the oration. Oration means to deliver a speech. Orator means a person who is a good speaker, who delivers a speech. So oration were at a child's grave. So let us start. I know how vain it is to gild a grief with words. He says that I know how vain, how useless it is to gild. To gild means to cover a grief. Grief means pain. To gild a grief with words. And yet, I wish to take from every grave its fear. I know that it is useless when this family, they have lost their child. So, it is useless to say colorful words to this family so that they will feel better. But once again, he wants to take away the fear from every grave. Whenever some death happens, he wants to take away the fear of death. He says that here in this world, where life and death are equal kings, all should be brave enough to meet what all have met. He wants to say that in this world, life and death, they both are important. So we should not be afraid of death. We should not be afraid, or we should be brave enough to meet what all other people they have met. Means all the other people, many people, they have met their death. So same way we should not be afraid of our death. The future has been filled with fear, stained and polluted by the heartless past. Future right? We always think about future. Sometimes we are afraid because our past, it has many experiences that make us fearful of what will happen in future. From the wondrous tree of life, the birds and blossoms fall with ripened fruit, and in the common bed of earth, patriarchs and babes sleep side by side. The tree of life, it is wondrous, right? Birds and blossoms means flowers. They fall with ripened fruit, and where? In the common bed, the common soil, the common ground of earth. Patriarchs and babes. Patriarch means a male person who is the head of a family, who is the oldest person in a family. The male, like grandfather or great grandfather, who is still alive, that is patriarch. Same way, the female member, the oldest female member of a family, is called matriarch, right? Let us look that word up in a dictionary. Patriarch and matriarch. Right? Patriarch, it means a powerful man in a family. Of course, mainly the oldest person is the most powerful in any family. Another meaning is the male leader of a society in which power passes from father to son. So from this word comes the term patriarchal society. Right? Patriarchal, a society which is ruled or controlled by men. If you are taking the IELTS test, you can use this word, patriarchal society, or you can say it's a matriarchal society, whichever suits the occasion. So, we were talking about this speech. Yes. So, in the common bed of earth, patriarchs, this oldest person, and babes, little babies, they sleep side by side. And when they are dead, they are all buried side by side. So why should we fear that which will come to all that is, right? Why should we be fearful of death that will come to us all? We cannot tell, we do not know which is the greatest blessing. We cannot say which one is good, whether life or death. We cannot say that death is not good. We cannot say that death is not good. We do not know whether the grave is the end of this life or the door of another. Right? What a great language. That we believe that death is the end of life, but he says that we don't know. It is not the end. It might be the door of another life which is good. The night here is not somewhere else a dawn. We don't know that night here, the darkness after death. We feel that there is all darkness, but perhaps it is a dawn, means new morning, new beginning somewhere else, in some other life. Neither can we tell which is the more fortunate. Like he compares two different people. The child dying in its mother's arms before its lips have learned to form a word. A child who dies in its mother's arms before its lips have learned to form a word. Right? A young child, before he learns to speak, he dies. Whether he is lucky or the one who journeys all the length of life's uneven road. Right? The life uneven road, ups and downs. The person who dies at a very old age, he has suffered all the ups and downs of life. Right? painfully taking the last slow steps with staff and crutch, right? Staff means a stick, rod, right? Old people, they always carry a stick to support them, and crutch, right? So who is lucky? A child who is very young and he dies, or a person who at a very old age he dies, because this old person, he has journeyed all the uneven path of life. Every cradle means young kids, it is a bed, right? It moves from one side to another. They sleep in the cradle. So every child, every cradle, it asks us whence, and every coffin whither, right? Every cradle, every little baby, it asks us whence. Whence, it's a literary word. Literary word means in literature they use it. Whence means from where. So a child, a young child, this child asks that from where I came, right? And every coffin, right, after death, every coffin, it asks whither. Again, it's a literary term. Whither means where, right? So every coffin asks that where I am going. The poor barbarian weeping above his dead can answer the question as intelligently and satisfactorily as the robed priest of the most authentic creed. So again there is comparison, that these two are questions. A child asks that from where I came, and a coffin asks that where I will go. This question, whether you ask this question to a barbarian means the person who is illiterate, who doesn't know anything, or if you ask this question to a learned person, a priest, a robed priest, R-O-B-E, robe means the clothes of a priest. So a priest who is learned, if you ask him this same question, they both will give you the answer which is meaningless, because they don't know what it is. The tearful ignorance of the one is just as consoling as the learned and unmeaning words of the other. The tearful ignorance, the barbarian, he is ignorant, he is full of tears, he is ignorant. His answer will not console you, his answer will not make you feel better. The same way the learned and unmeaning words of the other means that priest who is a learned person. Here by the priest, I don't want to say any religious person, but a learned person. So his words will also be meaningless. And then he says that no man standing where horizon of a life has touched a grave has any right to prophesy a future filled with pain and tears. Here, whoever stands near this grave, right? And there is a beautiful metaphor. What? The horizon of a life has touched a grave, right? This horizon, this whole life, it now comes to its end in a grave. Whoever stands near this grave has any right to prophecy. To prophecy means to say something about future. That this next life will be filled with pain and tears. No one can say that. No one has any right to say this. Why? It may be that death gives all there is of worth to life. It may be that, it is possible that actually death gives what is meaningful, what is worthy in this life, what is valuable to life. If there is no death, our life will be meaningless. He explains this. If those who we press and strain against our hearts could never die, if those who here is there is one word missing, it is we. In the book, the word in the original speech, it is given. If those who we press and strain against our hearts, if could never die, like the people who we love most, if they could never die, perhaps that love would wither from the earth. That way, the love between people, it would wither. Wither means it would gradually disappear. It would dry from the earth. Why? Again, there is one line which has some spelling mistakes. Here it says maybe a common faith treads from out the paths between our hearts, and in the book it is maybe a common fate. Fate means destiny. So I will go with the book. Maybe a common fate treads from out the paths between our hearts, the weeds of selfishness. This sentence is very complicated, but what I understood is that this common fate, that we all are going to die, this knowledge of this thing, it removes all between our hearts the weeds of selfishness. If we think that we all are going to die, then we realize that we should not be selfish. I should rather live and love where death is king than have eternal life where love is not. I should live in a place where death is as important as life. But if there is no love, if there is no death, then there will not be any kind of love between people. And if there is no love among people, then I would not like to live there. Another life is not. Not means zero. N-A-U-G-H-T, not. This another life is useless, zero. Unless we know and love again the ones who love us here. People who are here with us in this life, if we don't love them here, then what is the meaning of next life? They who stand with breaking hearts around this little grave need have no fear. This guy, he was standing near that little grave, the grave of a child. He says that people standing here, they should not fear. The largest and noblest faith in all that is and is to be tells us that death, even at its worst, is only perfect rest. So it says that God, He says that death itself is just some kind of perfect rest. We know that through the common wants of life, the needs and duties of each hour, their grief will lessen day by day until at last these graves will be to them a place of rest and peace, almost of joy. He wants to say that once we start doing our own work, we get ourselves busy with our own duties, day-to-day work, then this grief, this pain will lessen day by day. And someday we will meet death itself, and that will be a time for us for joy, for rest and peace. There is for them this consolation. This is a summary in one sentence. There is the consolation in this line. What? The dead do not suffer. If they live again, their lives will surely be as good as ours. Right? The dead, people who are dead, they don't have any sufferings. And if they live again, their lives will surely be as good as ours. Right? If they in their next life, their life will be good. It will be as good as ours. So we should not be worried, or we should not feel sadness for losing these people, because wherever they appear in their next life, they will be as happy as we are in this life. We have no fear. We are all children of the same mother, and the same fate awaits us all. Right? We are all the children of the same mother. Right? Same kind of fate, same kind of destiny it awaits us. So we too have our religion. Here by religion he doesn't mean any kind of common religion. The religion, the belief he talks about is that help for the living and hope for the dead. We must help the people who are living, people who we love and the people who love us, right? And we should hope for the dead, right? People who are no longer with us. We can only hope the best for them. And that is what the message of this whole speech. This passage, it will help you to learn some vocabulary related to life and death, related to grief, sadness. This all can be learned from this piece of oratory. And whenever you feel that you don't know any meaning of a word, you must look it up in this Cambridge Online Dictionary. And in the next episode, we will talk about another author, who is A.J. Cronin. He was a doctor, and then he wrote a semi-autobiographical novel. The title of that novel is The Citadel. We will talk about that novel. And one interesting fact is that there was a Bollywood movie by Dev Anand, which this movie was based on that novel Citadel, written by that A.J. Cronin. So in our next episode, we will talk about that A.J. Cronin and some inspirational journey from his life. Again, I want to request you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you like the video, then you can share it with your friends.